Greetings, Tony Mobley here. And we're back. We're back for a new episode of Conversations with Tony Mobley. And guess what? Tonight is the 25th episode of Conversations with Tony Mobley. That's right. 25 whole episodes of Conversation with Tony Mobley. And I want to thank all of you who have been supporting our conversations. And tonight we have the green screen gal herself. Erika Sandstrom is on with us tonight. Yay! Yes, Erika's on with us tonight. And so the question becomes, why are we here? Why are we here? We are here because life has provided me the opportunity to have real conversations with real people. And I am so excited to have Erika on with me tonight. Erika Sandstrom is a digital learning coach, digital media teacher, specializing in green screen and video production. She also does district-wide mindfulness professional development training. Well, I hope others glean a lot of great information from our conversation tonight, but I need your help. I need you to go to our website, Conversations with Tony Mobley, and I need you to register for the Mukana chat. Now, why do I want you to register for the Mukana chat? The reason why I want you to register for the Mukana chat is because you can ask questions. You can ask questions. And not only can you ask questions, you can vote those questions up and down. That's right. You can ask a question and you can vote it up and down. And so we ask that you go to the Mukana chat, register at Conversation with Tony Mobley, and then you can participate in this great conversation tonight by asking your question and getting it voted up or down. And if you like this conversation that we're going to have tonight, and if you like past conversations that we have, and I know you do, I want you to go and like and subscribe to Conversations with Tony Mobley on YouTube. I want you to set that bell to all the notifications and remind you of all of the upcoming conversations. And I can tell you right now that December is a very, very special month. And we're going to have some exciting conversations. And guess what? They are already up on YouTube, so you can go and subscribe to the upcoming conversations for the rest of this month right now. But before we go any further, I want to do a special thanks. The special thanks I want to do is to Miss Erin Graham for introducing Erika Sandstrom to the office hour community, as well as the office hours educational hour. I say hours, not hour, hours that we have every Saturday. Every Saturday we have that. And so I want to encourage you to go to officehours.global, where you can sign up to participate. All educators, I encourage you to come to office hours, education hours on Saturday by going to officehours.global and signing up. And so we're going to let Erika just do a real brief introduction, and then we're going to get to the questions. Thank you again, Erika, so much for being here with me tonight. Thank you so much.
Are you kidding me? This is my pleasure. I am honored to be in your presence. You really are so amazing and shining your gift for so many. I'm just Thank you for having me. Super
Thank
excited.
you. Thank you for accepting. And I'm so excited, and there are a lot of people that are excited. And I hope that there are a lot of educators who are watching this conversation tonight, because Erika is going to share some things with you that are going to help you technology wise, but also spirit wise. And so I'm looking forward to that. So without further ado, Erika Sandstrom, thank you so much again.
Oh my gosh. Thanks. Hi, everybody. I am Erika Sandstrom, and better known as Green Screen Gal. Let me show you a little visual to explain who I am. Also helps my brain this time of night to remember who I am. So is it really only Wednesday? So as you can see here, I have been teaching for 31 years. 31 years, and I'm a digital learning coach as well as a teacher, digital media teacher at the Higgins Middle School in Peabody, Massachusetts. I founded a club called Club Mindful, which we'll talk about a little bit later, a Mindful Superhero Club. And I created the very first last year Green Screen Summit. It's actually called Not Just a Green Screen Summit. I'm also a video and Wakelet ambassador. I have to read who I am, and I am obsessed with the DoInk app and the green screen, if you haven't figured that out already. So, yes. Ask away, Tony.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. And so the first question is, I don't see the first question. Oh, there it is. There it is. It came in. All right. So the first question is, who is Erika Sandstrom? And so you've really kind of already talked about it. So we're going to go to the next question. The next question is, why did you decide to become an educator?
Okay. I meant to turn this slide off. I'm also the crazy girl on the Ed Tech Magazine right now, the cover of Ed Tech, and we'll talk about how that happened. All had to do with mindfulness. So why did I decide to become, let me come back to my plain screen so I can talk to you. So sorry, Tony.
No problem. No problem. We're good.
Mousy. Okay. So why did I decide to become an educator? Oh, wow. That's a good question. Actually, it's not even a most pleasant story. My mother, if she's watching, she'll remember this. I actually had a bad teacher in high school. It was a creative writing course. I'll never say the name, of course. She was a wonderful teacher, but I was being compared in this writing course to my sister, who's Joan, who's 10 years older, who was brilliant. And I actually almost failed high school because of it. It was a really traumatic time for me. I had lost a friend in a car accident, and then I almost literally didn't walk with my graduating class because I wasn't doing well in creative writing. Anyway, so we got me through the class, but I found out the day of graduation I could walk just because of this one class. And it was so traumatizing. And I said, I want to be a teacher. So that's the negative story. So I could be better. But the positive side of it is my sisters I have 3 sisters. They're amazing. That told me my whole life, you should be a teacher because you always take over all of our birthday parties, always planning activities in the front yard when mom had everything planned in the backyard. And I've just always been an educator. But my favorite reason is just the joy of these students, watching them light up from their wins. There's nothing better. There's nothing better. I've been teaching for 31 years, elementary, middle school, and even some high school experience. And the joy of their wins and them feeling so much better about themselves just from the littlest things. I know I wasn't ready for that question.
Well, I'm gonna ask another question that's still related. And so the next question is, how did you get started in your professional work?
How did I get started in my professional work? Now, you mean as green screen gal or as?
Well, as educator, because you started with education first and then came mindfulness and green gal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So take us from educator to digital media coach to mindfulness.
Okay. You know what? I still think that I need to feel secure in the fact that people actually, or you actually want to hear this story. So
I want to hear the story. And
yeah.
my job as host is to be an advocate for those who are listening. And because I am an advocate for those who are listening, I can tell you we want to hear the story.
And it's so funny that I even just said that, because I thought, oh my gosh, this is the kind of show that's going to make me cry. Totally.
Well, you can cry if you want to, but we really want to hear the story, Erika.
Okay, I love it. Okay, so I started off. I was in high school, decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I lived in Connecticut. I was born and raised in Connecticut, Bethel, Connecticut. And I remember at that time, I thought, where am I going to go to school? My family, my father, my parents were moving up to New Hampshire area, to the area I live in now. And my aunt and uncle live in Kansas City, Missouri. So I ended up going to college out in Kansas City, Missouri, of all places, at William Jewell College. We were number 1 in Time Magazine one year for liberal arts colleges. It was a really cool place.
It sounds like it was.
It was. I had Pavarotti actually did his very first American concert there on my campus. But this small little campus in Kansas, or Liberty, Missouri, had the best education program. Ronnie Lou Garrison, if she ever sees this, she was an amazing professor, taught me how to teach math in a way that you would teach in England. So anyway, I went to college there, and then I ended up teaching in Belton, Missouri, a little town in south of Kansas City. And at the time, it was more of a very low income area, and it's changed a lot. And it really made me realize, after student teaching in a wealthy district, that I wanted to work with different kinds of kids. So taught there for 5 years. And then I moved to St. Louis, Missouri for 2 years. And then I moved back to the East Coast finally. So 7 years of teaching, all the way through 6th grade, all subjects. Then got a job in Peabody, Massachusetts, taught 3rd grade for 5 years. And then the middle school principal at the time, Kate Cullinan, came to the elementary school, and she said, because I guess I should frame this around technology. I am 52 years old. And that's where you say, no way, man. No way.
Well, I can hear they're in my ear, and they're saying, no way, man. No, man.
It's true. So what happened was, my 6th year of teaching, the internet was invented.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So no computers, nothing. So someone my age to be this savvy is unheard of. Well, not unheard of, but it's rare. So I was just always obsessed. I was like, I am a woman with ADHD, and I'm very proud of that. I think it's a gift. But when I found these computer things that could type my papers and you could print them, I was fascinated. So in college, I worked the computer lab, and I was the only one brave enough to change the printer cartridge. So from there, the internet was invented. And then, so I have watched ed tech from the very beginning. I really have. So when I moved here, I was teaching 3rd grade, but I was always a tech facilitator in all my buildings, because I was the only one that really wanted to learn how to use these computers. So then the middle school said, we are quitting your job for you. You are coming to the middle school. So that's how I started up at the Higgins in 2004 as an ed tech coach, unofficial coach, and then a full-time technology teacher. And about 6 years ago, I changed the course to digital media. Now, digital media to me means I teach video production, music production. I love the video production the most. The green screen, of course, graphic design, and all of these amazing careers these kids can have. And I'm getting distracted by my background. Sorry. I was going to show you something. We're getting to that part of the story. But so from there, the digital media class has just grown. I always use Full Sail University in Florida as an example. And because they have all this media production. For example, I tell the kids, do you like video games? Of course they say yes. I said, well, you could be a video producer. You could be a game. You could get a degree in game art and game design and coding. And then you move down the line, there's graphic design and a million things these kids can do that we didn't have as many opportunities. So anyway, that's what my course is about. But I got obsessed with this green screen thing. So I'm going to show you my very first time I used the green screen, just because it's funny, and it'll help me come back to my story.
Okay.
I find it. Anyway, so I always loved the weatherman. I always was just fascinated. He could change his background, or she could change her background. So I thought I wanted to be a meteorologist. No, I was obsessed with the green screen. And here we go. So let me just skip to that slide. Then we'll get to the mindfulness. Now I'm jumping ahead. So I got this green sheet and I set it up in my room and I said, okay, let's give this a try. This was literally my first one. I hope this sound plays okay for you. First time I ever tried it. So sorry. Let's try that again. So as you can see, no, there's no clapping for that one.
That was your first attempt, and what year was that?
Oh, that was I don't know, numbers 2013, 2014.
I'm sure they were blown away by it.
Well, what the reason I show you this horrible example is because I want people to know that this is how I started. No tripod, didn't know what I was doing. But we were laughing so hard. And Tony, the joy that I had in that moment sparked something in me. And I was like, I need to know more about this. So it just went after that. It ended up being, okay, now my thing's being obnoxious. And anyway, I'm going to try to get my brain back in. I told you late at night. So what happened was from there, I just couldn't stop. And it just kept going and going and going. And as you can see in here, I'm running from dinosaurs and I'm dancing with my students and climbing out of things. But it was beyond that. It was way more than that. The true magic happened when I realized what I could do with this thing for my students. And I really did have a nice story planned for you, I promise. Let me see. I'm playing the same thing. So this is the hard part about tech. You have to be really, really prepared.
And it's okay, because this is part of conversation with Tony Mooley has always been about failing forward sometimes, and figuring things out. And we know that we also learn from our failures. And so that's
oh, I know that. That is a
so that's, we have an hour and a half to figure it out all out.
All right. Well, I'm going to figure this out because I have some really cool stuff to show you. So with the green screen, I realized it wasn't just playing around and running from dinosaurs. The green screen brought so many opportunities for so much more. And it changed. It was really fun at first because it was lots of things we could do in the green screen. For example, with your core subjects, here's an example of the girls doing their science project. And the thing I love about it is with the green screen, when kids are told to make a video, they always think they have to talk on camera. And talking on camera is nobody likes to do that, not even me. So the magic of green screen, but the magic of video production is using voiceovers instead and having kids point to things, have a speech bubble and point to it instead. And that can bring so many things. But what you can do for learning is unbelievable. So let's play this one. I'll show you a couple things in here. I practiced for hours. All right, here we go. All right, slideshow. These girls were doing one on convection. So here we go. Oops. My goodness. The sound's not working, but that's okay. So what these girls did is they used a voiceover, and they told us about their science project as they were standing there watching convection go around in a circle as an animation, and it was just the cutest thing. And they talk through the whole thing, but you don't see them talking on camera. And there's other examples too of using this in the classroom. For example, my students, for math, this one's pretty powerful. For math.
So Erika, what we're going to do right now is we have a lot of green screen questions I already know. So we're going to go back to talking about you and your journey to this point. And so I'm going to ask you another question. And so what lessons have you learned from your parents that you are using today?
Oh, okay. This is harder than I thought. Oh my goodness, and they're watching.
Hi, Mom and Dad.
Hi, Mom and Dad. They're amazing. I'm named after my father. He's from Sweden, born and raised, and my mom. My parents they have such wonderful sense of humors, but they also are both amazing artists. And watching them work together on things throughout the years and being a team was always a big thing for all of us girls. I remember them making a dollhouse for us. We had a life-size dollhouse, and Mom made all the furniture, or Dad made all the furniture inside it and the dollhouse, and Mom decorated everything and sewed all the curtains and the wallpaper and literally made it look like a replica of our house. And just watching these two work together, I always said I wanted to have a partner like that we could create together. But they're just super kind people, and the golden rule is very powerful. Treat others the way you want to be treated. That's not the best answer for this. I could talk about my parents forever. This is where you're going to make me cry, Tony.
Well, one of the things that, when you said that they are artists, so for me, that immediately says, okay, now I understand the creativity and all of the components of the green screen and your passion and the way in which you are operating. It comes from the artists. So thank you, Mom and Dad.
They're also my best friends. They are
very cool.
They're 83, but they have an RV and they travel the world still. You would never know it. They're super youthful. And I've gotten a lot of lessons from them. I am who I am because of them.
Fantastic.
I really so if you guys like me, then you'll like them. That's for sure.
Can you speak to what motivates you?
Oh my gosh, what motivates me? What motivates me is anything that can raise my spirit, calm my mind, or calm my body too. I'm a yoga instructor. I didn't get to that part of the story, so sorry. The fun part. I am a yoga and Pilates instructor for many years now, and that's what kind of led me into the mindfulness. But when we get to a mindfulness question, I'll tell you the story of how all this really started. But what motivates me is anything green, anything to bring joy to people, and anything that makes people laugh. I think I've always been a humor nut, so I'd say that motivates me. Why am I answering these questions this way? I want to go back. Can we start over?
So I'm going to ask you a question I know that you won't have any problem answering. Can we talk about your cover on ED TECH K12 Magazine?
Okay. Oh goodness, I didn't realize I was going to get all these great questions, but ED TECH Magazine was such a surprise. I I was presenting on Teachers on Fire, and we were talking about the breathing bubbles. My students and I came up with an idea called #MyBreathingBubble, where we're creating personalized breathing bubbles like the one you and I did when we started, where we're putting things inside the bubbles like a picture of your pet or a photo of your family or something that brings you joy. So when you're breathing, you're thinking of something that sparks joy right away for you personally. So they saw me doing that, and then they called me and said, we would love to do a story on you. Now, they didn't tell me I was going to be on the cover. I guess they don't tell people when they're going to be on the cover because sometimes people say no or they get really nervous. And I had this 6-hour photo shoot for this article. And the article, I love how beautiful the article came out. So I thought, okay, this is what they do. But it was because I was on the cover. And if you see the cover, I am jumping on the green screen. So what happened that day was the photographer, he was a lot of fun. I kind of jokingly say, we should do some jumping pictures. And he said, yeah, we should. So he ran and got a boa and that flower. And I can show it to you. Hopefully I can do this with ease. I'm getting better. I want to show it to you because it's a very visual thing of me on this magazine. Here we go. And let's see, there it is. So here it is over here. I made a little fun thing with Cookie Monster. There it is, art reinvented. So I am jumping on the green screen and my hair is up in the air, my little ponytail. So that was a lot of fun. But now Ed Tech Magazine and CDW are doing some things with me on the side. So it's been a dream come true. It literally is my favorite geeky magazine. And I'm on the cover of it and I can't even believe it.
And I noticed how you slipped that in. We're going to get back to that.
Did I slip in Cookie Monster?
Well, very cool. So how did COVID impact your work?
Wow, Tony. This is a conversation. I'm going to put away my stuff. How did COVID enter my personal work or just, what happened to us in our district? Do you want to know?
Well, we've talked before. So let's just give other people some insight to the things that you dealt with personally as far as interaction with your students and how you were able to try to continue to educate them, give them instruction. What were some of the challenges that COVID caused you to have with interacting with your students?
COVID, I feel like there's two emotions on this planet, and I know you've probably heard this before. There's fear and love. And there was so much fear and so many emotions come out of fear that right away I went into mindfulness mode to help my students. I'm much better at helping other people, I think, than myself. A lot of us are, a lot of teachers are. So I was super focused on pulling out the positive for these kids. But what happened in our district is they pulled me in to be a coach for the district when this hit. But this is before we knew we were going into lockdown. So I remember sitting around a table at central office with the superintendent, all the principals, directors, and then the mayor shows up. And everyone around the table, we're trying to figure out how we're going to do this and how we're going to teach these kids online. And it was just idea after idea. No masks or anything. We're all just sitting. We had no idea. And the mayor comes in. He goes, actually, we're shutting down. So you don't need to figure out this. We were trying to figure out hybrid at the time or figure out what we could do. So in an instant, we were told, all right, that's it. We're all staying home. It's locked down. Figure out what you're going to do to teach these kids. Now, like every teacher on the planet, creating lesson plans for an online classroom versus an in-person is a completely different job. And to not have the resources and the technology. So in our district, we had to scramble to get, and they did such a good job, get all the elementary kids Chromebooks because they didn't have devices. So, and in Peabody, not every student had internet. So they had to figure that out. So there's just a million things that every district had to do. But emotionally, the kids were frightened. They were scared. I mean, this was frightening, and watching the news did not help. But I'll tell you, Tony, COVID has been a blessing with so many silver linings in so many ways. And my students, they're struggling right now. We're having a lot of discipline problems right now because I know that the trauma is really affecting them. However, a lot of these students were forced to grow up pretty quickly. I remember going back to school when we first went back, and I drove in the parking lot and saw the kids standing on our little hawks 6 feet apart. And my first reaction was tears. I just broke out in tears, like, this poor kids, da, 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 da. I can't believe they have to do this. But then I stopped myself and I went into my mindful mirror person. I said, you know what, Erika, this is good for them. They're learning compassion. They're learning patience. They're learning perseverance. They're learning all of these life skills by having to think about other people and wear these masks and do these things. So it snapped me right out of it. And then I knew I just hit the ground running with being there for them emotionally. And mindfulness really has helped my classroom a lot. But as far as it now, I think the kids are so used to it. I think it's harder to get them on board. They're just kind of over it. But yeah, it's been really powerful, I think, and all these opportunities for me. Green Screen Gal really just was created this past year just from all these opportunities to share mindfulness. So I don't know.
Are there children in crisis? And if so, what can we do?
Okay. I would love, okay, what is mindfulness is coming? Okay, good. I would love to see mindfulness and social emotional learning obviously is the number one goal in every school district, but I would love to see it really school-wide everywhere, where even that breathing bubble you and I did is a regular practice for the whole school at the same time during the day, or just to train teachers to incorporate it into their already made lessons, not something new, something they're already doing. And they are doing this. Teachers have turned into counselors. We have to. These kids need us. But I feel like, and this is something I wanted to talk about, was when you're upset or you're worried or you're in fight or flight, not everybody wants to talk about it all the time. Yes, we need to talk, and we need to talk about social emotional learning. We need to do all these things, but we get it trapped in our bodies, and we need to raise our spirits. So with my students, I don't just talk to them about how the trauma they're feeling and the crisis they're in. We move. We do chair yoga. We do regular yoga. We do Tai Chi. We do Qigong. We dance sometimes. And I ask the kids, and I'll ask you, Tony, when you get stressed or nervous, where do you feel it in your body? I feel it in my mid-back, and I get headaches. Where do you feel it?
Typically, I have headaches and my back. Yeah, those are the two places.
Yeah, and that's trapped emotions. That's all kinds of things can happen from that. So just knowing where it is in your body is the first step. Kind of like those kids that always go to the nurse for stomach aches. It's usually anxiety. So so I tell the kids, when you start to feel that, here's a tool. And it's not just breathing bubbles. I mean, we have breathing techniques where we breathe, inhale and uphill down the hands, and a few others we might be able to talk about. But just some movement, just some stretching, get it out of your body. But another important piece too, I think, for kids is not just that, but to also raise their spirits. For example, I had a student walk in my class yesterday. She's the kind of girl that's 13 going on 30, Megan. She's amazing. Yeah, she's going on 30. So I always say, and a lot of these kids are now because of COVID, but I tell her, you need to learn how to be a teenager. She just can't deal with her. I mean, she's so kind all the time, and she's always up, and she's always that person everybody goes to. And she walked in, and I saw her face. I go, "You okay?" She goes, "Actually, I'm not." She goes, "I'm just not. She goes, everything's bothering me today. Kids are tapping their pencils, and I want to break their pencils and punch them." I'm like, "Who are you?" But I said to her, I said, "Oh my gosh." I go, "Congratulations." And she goes, "Why?" I go, "For naming your emotion. Now we're going to forgive that emotion." No, I said, know that there's a yin and a yang. If you're going to be this person that's up all the time, you need the yang. And I said, it's okay to have those days. That's when you use these techniques more. Let's do some breathing together. But And I could see that she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't even really know what was making her mad. So I put on something, and I'm going to show you this.
Okay.
I said, all right, hon, we tried a little stretching. We tried this. Didn't work. She was still out of it. So I literally put this on my computer. And I'm so glad I have it here, because I do. Because I said, oh my gosh, I have to get her out of her head. Okay, here we go. I don't know what you're going to think of me after this. All right, I'm going to move out of the way. And here we go.
So what was her response?
She almost fell on the floor laughing. She was like, and I said, okay, what? And then I showed her a bunch of cat gifts, because cat gifts get me every time. So then I asked her these questions. I said, all right, let's talk about something that brings you joy. And for me, here's my slide. It's Moose Tracks ice cream. Can't get enough. My sunsets, this is off my deck of my lovely condo. And then my paddleboard, even though I'm sleeping on it here, which is hilarious. So she said, wow, I feel better. I feel better. And I said, well, that's where we lead into, and I don't know if you want to talk about this now. Maybe when I talk about mindfulness, I'll get there, but I'm going to stop it there, and I'll answer it in the next question.
Okay. So we have a question from Dr. Chris Clark from Tempe, Arizona.
Oh.
He is a fan of both of ours. Erika, I am a big advocate for self-care by teachers, but have you ever considered that pushing the responsibility of self-care onto the teacher's shoulders could let off the hook those responsible for underbearing conditions in education?
That is a wonderful question.
Unbearable. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that forcing the teachers to teach or to help the kids when they need it themselves. It's so true. I think that's what he means. Is that how you took it, Tony? Like,
yeah, he's saying that what you're doing is helping the teachers manage an extremely stressful situation, but the administrators are sometimes being let off the hook by not doing what they can to help the teachers.
Ooh, you're hitting a touchy subject, but it's so true. I love my administration, don't get me wrong, and they're probably watching. So, but what's nice about our district, and actually we had some serious tragedy in our district. We lost our superintendent, Kara Murtag, at the age of 44, just right before COVID. And I lost a student I had for 3 years. And it was just overwhelming. And what happened was our district took a turn then before COVID to care for the teacher, self-care. And they started all these programs. I even started something called the Teacher Self-Care Fair. So now I'm very lucky to have a boss that's in support of having these self-care things going on throughout the day. For example, I'll teach yoga sometimes. Even for staff development last year, we had a whole PD where it was all self-care. Teachers brought their yoga mats, and we all just did some Tai Chi and Qigong and a lot of mindfulness training and stuff. This year, I feel like we've kind of lost a little bit of that. I hope we come back. So I feel like, what schools can do is take care of the teachers first, because if they're stressed, they can't teach. And if kids are stressed, they can't learn. So it's really hard to teach kids self-care when you're feeling the way you do. So what we're doing at my school, which I wish that we'd push a little harder to make the time for it, is the teachers are even pulling together, and we're figuring out, what do we each do for self-care that we can bring to each other, whether it's a recipe for healthy smoothies. Somebody can teach us to cook. I'm doing yoga and restorative yoga and all those other things I mentioned. But I feel like the teachers are a mess, and we really need this to be part of the day or part of professional development if it's not already. And also, I mean, we have 1,500 students in my school that need to be taught. So it's just, so what I do personally, since there really is not a lot of time during the day, is I teach it in my class. We take breaks throughout the class for mind, body, spirit, and it is worth every minute of it. You have to take care of yourself too. And every time I do breathing with them, I'm breathing too. So that's the only way I can get to it most days. Is that a good answer?
Yes, amazing, amazing. And I need to make a request of you. I'm gonna do an appeal right now for more questions. But while I'm doing that appeal, I want you to think about briefly explaining what personal professional development is. You reference PD, and for those who may not be in education, they may not know what PD is. So think about that for just a quick second. And at this point, I need to reach out to those who are watching and listening. Please, please give us more questions. Give us more questions. We're a little light on the questions. And so I'm calling out, I'm asking those that are listening on YouTube and those who are in other on the website watching, please ask more questions, because I have a ton of them. And you don't want me asking all of my questions. We want to get some of your questions.
Yes, we do.
asked.
We
Okay.
do. I would love, anytime you let me talk about mindfulness and how that all started.
Well, we're going to talk about mindfulness after you explain to those who may not know what PD is.
Okay. So PD, my apologies. We have so many fun little acronyms in education. It's called professional development, and teachers are required to have, I believe, 5. That's why we have the 5 extra school days for teachers, and also other days where we learn professional things. So right now we're learning all kinds of things to do with assessment and new programs. And that's when we learn about all the new ed tech and things like that. But a lot of teachers complain. I'm trying to fix my screen for your son. A lot of teachers complain that some of the PD is, not what they want to be seen. In my opinion, I feel like professional development needs to be focused not only on pedagogy and all these cool new teaching methods and things like that, or assessment, but also on teacher self-care and social emotional learning. I have a Wakelet here I want to show you, because this has a ton of resources for teachers that are here, and all these people asking these questions about self-care and stuff would really appreciate me showing this. I have it on a Wakelet. I can always share it after the show, but if you just look up Wakelet and my name or Green Screen Gal, in here, there's a ton of professional development on mindfulness and on social emotional learning. For example, I have this mindfulness series on Wakelet where we have a group of videos with educators from the Globe, Barbara Bray, and the Kindness Coach. He's on one of them with me, and some other teachers too. And they're all about the different pillars of mindfulness that we'll talk about in a bit. But my favorite down here is this butterfly one, where I've collected a bunch of stuff for people, and even for people teaching remotely. But this very first one is a self-care, one of the things I made for my district. Let me skip to the good stuff. But in here, you will see a bunch of videos for students, for teachers, for administration on, nope, not that. So I love that. I love cat gifts. They always make me feel better. So for example, this one has 5 minutes of restorative yoga, chair yoga for you and your students. And I have it in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So if you want your whole class to do it the whole time, there you go. So that's the whole yoga page. And then the other pages, this one has emotional freedom technique. That's a tapping. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of tapping. This is a wonderful thing for teachers. And these are even educators in here teaching some of these things. Tons about breathing bubbles, music. Music is really powerful. I play binaural beats when my students walk in the room. You can Google binaural beats and say, for focus, for stress, for headaches, for anything, and you can play them, and they work every time for my students. They love them. Yeah, so that is available to you all on my Wakelet. And there's one more. This one has podcasts and webinars, and I'm going to add yours, Tony. Self-care for educators, and then student resources like cosmic yoga and things like that. So
very cool.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Erika. And I'm going to need you to get centered because we're now getting ready to start on the mindfulness questions. So the first question, we have a question from Aaron Graham coming up, but before we get to Aaron Graham's great question, we're just going to talk about what is mindfulness. So I need you to come to the center of the screen and look directly at those who are watching when you explain to them what is mindfulness.
Okay. I'm going to pick a good slide for this one because it is a powerful question that needs a good answer. Mindfulness. Going to bring myself back. All right. My darling dears, mindfulness is the ability to put yourself in the present moment. I'm showing you this slide because it will explain it better than I can. But I read this book when I first started my journey that said, the very first line said, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you're living in the future. And if you're content, you're in the present moment. And what that means is we live all day on these waves of life. Waves of life are going to come whether you want them to or not, every day. Mindfulness is a way to see how you can not ride the waves and learn how to surf. My favorite quote. So, for example, if you're anxious about something, what if, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm so worried about this, and you feel those emotions coming on. That's when you recognize, okay, I'm living in the future a little bit. And you learn to bring yourself back to the present moment. And I'll teach you how to do that. And then other ones are regret, shame, guilt, and all these things from the past. And when you're feeling those emotions and you recognize them, first of all, forgive yourself, you bring yourself back. So it's like a dance all day long to bring yourself back to the present moment. And ways you can do that are the pillars of mindfulness. And Tony, did you want to chime in anything there before I dive into this? Or
yeah, I am. I don't know how to say this other than saying amen to what you're saying. It's important, I think, for all of us to recognize that, as you say, this is something that we're dealing with daily and really, in a sense, moment by moment. And it's an ongoing thing. And so I'm not sure that we, and I say we, and I mean people in general, think to think about mindfulness as we should. And so I'm glad we're having this conversation. I'm glad that we are going to get into this tonight even further. And so I want to go ahead and get to Aaron's question. What do you recommend for teachers, number one, to help themselves and feel mindful? Two, help their students feel mindful during the hectic holiday season?
Okay. Oh, gosh, this is an interesting conversation because I feel terrible that I'm a little all over the place. But if you can break it down to very, very simple things, is with your students and with yourself, practicing that, bringing yourself back to the present moment as much as possible. There's so many simple ways to do that. If you see your kids getting kind of nutty, which they kind of are right now, you can try these things. I try the binaural beats. If that doesn't work, I will do a quick stretch break, dance break. If that doesn't work, we will breathe together, and the kids are used to it. That's the thing, is if you get your students used to it, it's not just something you randomly do once in a while. But teaching students about the present moment, one of the most powerful ways is have them use their five senses. We love to do this all the time. We even sit in the windowsill sometimes, and we just sit there and say, okay, guys, let's try it right now, everybody. I want you to put your feet on the floor, if you can, and take a breath. And I want you to notice how you feel. Are you hungry? Go through your Maslow 5 basic needs. Are you thirsty? Are you tired? Are you cold? Are you too hot? Are your fingers cold? Are your toes cold? Can you feel the floor underneath your feet? And keep breathing and notice your breath. Okay, what do you smell? What do you hear besides my voice? I hear buzzing from my lights in my house. I hear that thoughts in my head. And what do you see? You start to look around. And sometimes I tell them to pick a color. So I'm picked turquoise, so I see a lot of turquoise. And just something simple like that. It's amazing what the kids will do. They'll just calm right down. They come back into their bodies. You can have them stand and do that. And for adults, we live in a hamster wheel. We're constantly in fight or flight. Go, 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 go. Got to pick the kids up here. Got to do this. Da, da, da. And you'll actually get more done if you take the time to do this. I also tell people, don't just do breathing bubbles when you're stressed. By that time, sometimes it's too late. Do them on a regular basis. Right now, I'm working on something to help people do this. Like I was telling you earlier, for example, if you're at a red light, you can do a breathing technique called thirds, where you look at the red light. Instead of freaking out about the red light, inhale for 1/3 and hold it. Inhale for 2. Hold it. Inhale for 3. And exhale. I do that every stoplight. Trisha Fugel Funds, we call her. She's an amazing green screen sister of mine. She's been doing Keurig yoga as her coffee perks. She inhales, gulp, 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 and exhales and touches her toes. I'm not doing a Keurig sound very well. And she goes up. She does it through the whole process. So I've been doing it every morning. It's about 1 minute. But funny story is, and I did the same thing. She forgot to put a cup underneath the Keurig the other day, and I forgot to put the water in because I was too busy doing my Keurig yoga. But my point is, even when you're waiting in line at Dunkin' Donuts, folks, it can get crazy. I'm always running late. We know that's an ADD thing. But instead of staring at the person so your coffee comes faster, we do that subconsciously sometimes. Use your five senses. What do you see? I noticed that the sockets on the wall were all bright orange in Dunkin' Donuts. It's the coolest thing. You have to look at them. They're really cool. I noticed this girl's earrings that was waiting on me. They were really cool. I was like, wow, where'd you get those? I noticed the beautiful donuts that I want to eat, but I won't. But they were decorated so beautifully. Never noticed before. What I heard Kiss 108 in the radio. And then I started dancing, and I looked and I saw this little 3-year-old girl dancing. So I started dancing with her. What did I smell? Coffee.
You were talking about the young person that earrings. Talk more about how this can be helpful, not just to students, but to adults.
If what do you? I'm sorry, I got a little lost there in my mindful talk.
Well, I was doing the things that you were saying that you were doing with your students as you were saying it. I was putting my feet down. I was breathing. I was listening to the things that you were telling your students to do. I was doing all of those things.
Mhm.
But I wanted you to expand on how that could be helpful to not just your students, but adults.
Well, I have a slide on here. I'm not going to try to find it. It's distracting me. Dis-ease in your life from traffic, from stress, from trauma that we're all going through. My boyfriend actually lost his father and his stepmom from COVID. It has been a stressful time. I can't even imagine what all of you've been through. But all of that stress is going to cause dis-ease. And you put dis-ease together, it spells disease. And it's true. We're getting sick from our stress. And practicing these little pieces of mindfulness, even in these simple ways, will keep you out of fight or flight. And it will help you to feel better and sleep better. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that's common sense to most people.
I think it is common sense, but we're
not doing it.
Yeah, we need triggers to be mindful, to take the time to see the importance of it. Like you mentioned, disease. And so, as a person who experienced, cancer, and part of the reason why I'm here is because I had this journey with cancer, and I got a chance to participate in the office hours community. And it has been my mindfulness in terms of being able to participate and interact and have conversations with Tony Mobley and be able to talk with you, and not just you, but people worldwide. And that's, that's a mindfulness for Tony Mobley. But there is so much, because of this technological age that we live in, and we were bombarded so much with so many different things.
Yeah.
What can we do to make mindfulness a component that we be present in the midst of all of this that we're dealing with? And so that's what because I know that there are people who are listening, and they're struggling, and they are reeling and rocking from all of the different things that are happening in their lives. And so you're talking about being present in the moment and not dealing with the anxiety of the future and the guilt and anger of the past. How do we make it a part of who we are on a daily basis, and even a moment by moment basis? Because I think that we have to be intentional about this.
You do.
And we're not.
Right. You're absolutely right. I'm trying to find Abraham Hicks for you. She's a professional. You're right. And it does need to be intentional. And Dan, what's his name? The guy who is the news anchor who does 10% Happier. He is excellent to follow. He has a wonderful video. I wish I had time to show it to you. That just explains it really well, of what mindfulness, and it's going to become part of us, just like brushing your teeth, just like drinking your coffee, just, going to the doctor, taking your medication, exercising. He says in his video, it's really funny. He says in the 1940s, if you were exercising or you were running, people would say, "Who's chasing you?" because, and then the scientists come in, and they swoop in and say, exercise is good for you. And now we feel guilty if we don't exercise. And mindfulness is becoming that. We have to take care of ourselves, and we have to do this now. And, but when people hear it, they think, well, I don't have time to breathe. I said, well, you're breathing right now. I breathe all day long. I literally have throughout this whole thing, just to calm myself down. And here it is, Abraham Hicks. Here we go, people. This is a professional. Okay. This is the emotional scale. And I am going to make myself smaller because you have to see this, Tony.
Okay.
I think this will help people a lot. Okay. Anyway. All right. I'm a little faded. That's okay. Abraham Hicks says that, emotions are emotions, and you have to recognize them. And the more you can recognize the emotion you're having, the better you will be. For example, down here in the bottom, the lowest energetic emotion you can have is fear, insecurity, jealousy, hatred, rage, revenge, despair, powerlessness. And think about grief when somebody passes, how you feel. It's just awful. So if you stay down here, that's going to cause more dis-ease. So you're supposed to move up the scale. The highest one you can feel is joy. And, up here in joy and empowerment, freedom and love and appreciation, I mean, that's where we want to be. But you can't jump from hate to joy. You have to go up the scale. And what I mean by that is, for example, if you are feeling hatred, you're supposed to think of something that causes or teaches you how to get angry. So right here, anger is high. I don't know if you can see my mouse. You can't see it. Anger is a higher emotion. And then from anger, you can go to something that disappointed you. And then you're moving up the scale. And then it says right here, continue 1 through 3 as you choose. Pick an emotion you're currently feeling. Choose a thought or feeling which brings you relief from that current emotion. Settle into the new thought or feeling, then continue. Have you ever gotten really mad, Tony, like where you're just so angry and then afterwards you kind of feel joy or you start laughing because you release that anger? Because right after anger starts to come more positive emotions. Anger is actually healthier, depending on how you handle the anger, than other emotions. So we're in a time right now that if we don't take care of ourselves, we're just going to get sicker and sicker. So
Erika, this is fascinating. This information is fascinating. I'm going to ask that you please share it with me, and I want to make sure that we put the links to this, if possible, in this conversation, so that people who come to this conversation will be able to look at all of the stuff that you have already shared, because we're not going to be able to get through all of it. Obviously, we're not going to be able to get through all of this, but this is so important. This is so important that we need to make sure that this resource is available. And I also need to make sure that you have all of your links as a part of this particular conversation on YouTube, so that people who are not here now and those who want to do follow-up, who are listening, can get to that information. Thank you so much. This is so powerful. We have another question from Dr. Chris Clark from Tempe, Arizona. And his question is, Erika, if you were to consult with teacher educators about ways to improve preparation the next generation of teachers, what improvements would you recommend? Subtraction as well as additions.
Okay, that's okay. If I was a
That's a
consultant,
Saturday question, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It
It's,
is.
it's a Saturday question. And so
I'm very
this
thorough.
is
They talk about math.
Dr. Clark, thank you so much for this question. So what I'm going to do is say, all of you educators who are listening, come to office hours, officehours.global. We have an education hour on Saturdays. Well, it's hours actually. And it is not on YouTube. You have to come to the Zoom meeting, and you're free to talk about the things that you need to talk about as an educator. The things you don't have to worry about any repercussions, but it is a place where educators can talk freely and try to figure out things that will enrich their teaching, as well as their professional development, as well as really coming up with good suggestions for their students. And that's really the most important thing. And so it is a powerful hour and a half, almost 2 hours, that's led by Emily Russo. Please, if you're an educator, take the time out of your schedule and come in for 2 hours after the regular office hours show. There is a non-YouTube conversation for educators. And so we're going to push that. Dr. Clark, thank you so much. You gave me an opportunity to talk about our education hour. And so speaking of Emily Russo, who leads us on Saturdays, we have a question from Emily Russo of Nashville, Tennessee. How do you get administrators to buy into creative tech and not dismiss it from the ever so more important core content areas? And I'm going to say that is another Saturday question.
Emily, what are you doing to me, girl?
Emily, you know that's a Saturday question.
I mean, it's a great question, and the last
It is a
question
great question.
but you guys are killing me. I'm glad that I'm going to be able to tell
Yeah.
you
So
about my webinar.
and so I'm going to say, I'm praying that Erika's going to be with us on Saturday, and you can ask her that question on Saturday. So now you have a reason to come to office hours on Saturday, officehours.global, and get the answer to that question. All right, Dr. Clark is back again. He says, Erika, have you heard of a little town in eastern Pennsylvania called Bryn Athyn? And I know of a Sandstrom family there.
You do? No, I have not, but I'm going to look it up. My father is born and raised in Stockholm, right outside of Stockholm, Sweden, Sandstrom. So I don't know if any other Sandstroms we're related to that don't live overseas. So I would be really interested to learn more about that, though, because go Sweden. Woohoo!
And Dr. Clark is our resident ringer for great questions.
I know he is. I love him.
And so we have, what's next for the green screen gal? What's next for her?
Okay. Well, next for green screen gal. Okay, you guys are getting me off my mindfulness now. I was all ready to go. Can't go back and forth. They're so different. Just kidding. Next for green screen gal is I am hoping to get my mindful superhero club in every school I possibly can. I'm actually working with a wonderful woman named Maha in Bangladesh, where my students are working with her students to create personalized breathing bubbles, but we're also going to bring in a mindful superhero club to her school, and hopefully district. I also, these are some of the things that my students create. This is when I found that mindfulness and green screen gal go together. Uh, and basically, the green screen can be used in so many powerful ways to teach social emotional learning and to teach compassion and all these wonderful things. So on that note, I am creating a bunch of online courses. I have one up right now on my website called Become a Green Screen Rockstar. So if you want to learn how to do all these crazy shenanigans with me, it's I even have a coupon for everybody here. Please take that course. It's a mini course, but the new course.
And Erika, talk about the application that you're using.
I am using, well, I'm using a little bit of WeVideo, but also the Do Ink app. My phone is green, shocker. The Do Ink app is the best green screen app on the planet. In my opinion, it is like having Photoshop at your fingertips. All of these were made in Do Ink. So this club, just to quickly tell you also, we used to go to assisted livings before COVID. So I'm hoping to do that again, because what we do is we bring the green screen there and work with 90-year-olds, and we have them bungee jumping, and you'll see in the slides when you get to watch them yourself, and doing all these things and having my students have connections with them. So we're actually trying to work on something remotely with them. But Green Screen Gal, also my biggest thing coming up besides my online courses is our summit. If I could quickly show you my website, the Green Screen Summit is called Not Just a Green Screen Summit. So on my website, the second tab, last year I had this crazy idea. I'm like, we need a summit for green screen. and my friend Manny Curiel, who's amazing, said, I think you're right, Erika. So what we did is we created this green screen summit, and we had 22 presenters, including Ann Kozma from Flipgrid and all these wonderful people in this crazy grid. The replays are still available if anybody wants them. But you learn everything from green screen to video production to graphic design to ed tech tools, you name it, all of this fun stuff. That's a long answer. So those are the things coming up.
And what's the actual date for the summit?
The summit the date has not been set yet. It's summer of 2022. Last year was in early July. So, but there is information and replays from last year on my website, and just sign up. If you sign up for the freebies and stuff, you will get first dibs on this summit. It was an absolute blast. We had so much fun, but we also practice mindfulness through the whole thing. I do live mindfulness as we're running from dinosaurs and teaching you all the fun stuff. So it's a very powerful summit. It was anyway. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Erika. Yeah. And let's see. We have a couple of more questions. What are you most concerned about for the future?
Okay. Wow. I'm concerned. I'm a very spiritual person, so I know that all of this has to happen for a reason. I truly believe that this is all happening for a reason. And I don't know how much I can talk about that here, but I'm showing you this for trying to figure out what's on him for a reason. This sculpture is super powerful. This shows two people, probably adults, and their little kids inside that. All of us at one time, I sound very preachy, but all of us at one time were little kids that were happy and didn't know better. And we've learned so much hatred and so much discord and all these things throughout the years. And right now we're in such divide. But as you know, people like you and all these people from around the world are trying to help fix that. So I'm so hopeful, but my biggest worry is that people won't jump on the kindness bandwagon fast enough, especially for the Climate Action Day. I forgot to talk about that. I was just asked to present a Climate Action Day alongside some famous people like Prince Williams was there.
Yeah, that was very cool. that was another nugget from Saturdays that those who are listening, she was on a panel with Prince William. But that is only, you only get access to that, hearing about that on Saturday. Officehours.global. Just saying.
Can
Um,
I share?
I make a joke about that. Is I think it's very important that we continue to have these global conversations about this, Erica, because um, part of part of the idea of Conversation with Tony Mobley has always been about replicating the interaction that has taken place in office hours, where people all over the world have come together to have conversations about video production. But in this conversation about video production, they have been able to put aside the things that typically separate us from each other. And we are able to find common ground. We don't get caught up in what someone's religion is, or politics, or ethnicity, or anything that is typically used to separate us from one another. We are actually able to talk about video production, but it goes into deeper things and more things, and we find out that we have more things in common. And so I'm wrestling with the same thing that you are, in that, how do we have conversations about mindfulness? How do we have conversations that will uplift and help us get to know each other better and realize that we have more in common than we do otherwise? And so I want to thank you so much for being here, and I know that we just got to the tip of the iceberg in terms of the things that you're doing and sharing. And I hope that I'm going to be a little anxious and say that this information will be on Conversations with Tony Mobley. There will be links so that all of the things that we did not get into on this important conversation will be there for you to peruse through Conversation with Tony Mobley, and also Green Screen Gal website as well. And so we're going to continue this conversation away from Conversation with Tony Mobley, but this is an ongoing thing, and I am enriched by us having this conversation to be more mindfulness in my life and in my heart. So I want to thank you. So we have one last question, and this question is really sort of what we're speaking about right now. And I don't, you talk about preaching and being preachy. I'm guilty of that more than anybody else. But the last question is, you are speaking to the world. What do you want them to know?
Okay. Well, I want to start this before I share this quote. I took a course or a workshop a long time ago that taught me something that will stay with me forever. Basically, it was all about forgiveness. And you don't only have to forgive others, it's more about forgiving yourself. So we went through these exercises, and it was forgive yourself, forgive your higher power 1 week, forgive others. And forgiveness meaning you don't necessarily condone, but you forgive the inner child of somebody. You sever the tie from the pain. They don't even have to know half the time. But the most powerful thing was week 4. And it was become unoffendable. Put that in your mouth and swish it around. Unoffendable. An example is from actually a sermon I went to, was he had everybody there and he got us all riled up, and he says, how many of you have opened a door for someone and they didn't thank you? How many of you have let someone in traffic and they didn't thank you? How many of you, blah, blah, blah. And he got everybody riled up. And then he said, well, why did, he goes, and then people said, yeah. And I got upset, with them. And I said, you're welcome. And he said, well, why are you doing the kind thing? What's the point? Are you doing it for a thank you? So he got to my heart. He says, if you're going to do something kind for somebody, don't do it for the thank you. But anyway, that leads to this with the kiddos, this powerful quote by the Dalai Lama. If every 8-year-old was taught meditation, we would eliminate violence from the world within 1 generation. I truly believe that. I truly believe if we start these kids as a normal thing in school to teach them to deal with their emotions and to not just meditate, because that's a tough word for a lot of cultures, but just mindfulness and yoga and breathing and all gratitude and all these things as a regular part of school, we could help eliminate violence, start them young. So that is a big sentence. I hope that was helpful.
It was. Thank you, Erika Sandstrom. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I can say this. I know that this conversation is going to be helpful to so many people. I know that it will be. And I want to encourage all of the educators who are here and who may be listening later on. Please come to officehours.global for the Saturday Education Hour. You will not be sorry. I will guarantee you will not be sorry that you come and participate in that conversation. And so I want to say special thanks to Kimberly Mobley, the Global Family and Friends, Alex Lindsay and the Office Hour members, Cloud Bedrock LLC, the DVE Store, Liminal Entertainment Technologies, Byte Hive, Video 360, ApprovedForLoan.com, Mr. Ken Jordan, Elms Park, Jonas Dattel, Aaron Huslich, Chirag Cheetah, David Brady, Marcus Lee Folk, Richard Lavery, Chris Fenwick, Manolo Lozanzo, who is in the UK, who is very instrumental in helping this show. Thank you, Manolo. Jeffrey Powers, Talak Lopez Waterman, Conversation with Tony Mobley, producer. And I want to say again, Erika Sandstrom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing the work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Conversations with Tony Mobley, episode 26, will be next week. And guess what? We have an artist, a photographer, a radio host, a video production producer, Ms. Lois Richer. And please come and find out more about her. Coming soon, more interesting people, and upcoming conversations for this month are already scheduled on YouTube. You can go and you can subscribe. More conversation with educators, mental health, filmmakers, musicians, other creators, more interesting conversations coming. Thank you all so much. If you like this conversation, please subscribe, and we will see you on the next conversation with Tony Mobley, or we'll see you on Saturday on the Education Hour and officehours.global. Take care. Good night. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.